What's up, crew? My name's Captain Dave and welcome back to the Captain's Quarters, the video in which I go through and answer a selection of your questions and comments from last time's video. So, before we get into the questions and before I get into promoting the video I've been enjoying and all that sort of good stuff I normally do at the start of these things, there's a few updates that I need to discuss with you guys first before we get into this. First off, apologies in advance if there's a bunch of jump cuts in this one. My brain doesn't seem to want to work today. It's just like having a communication error with my mouth, and my mouth starts to speak and then my brain gives it no words, and I'm just sitting there with my mouth open looking like a fish on water. It's just a fish out of water, I should be saying. Case in point, right there. So yeah, if there's a bunch of jump cuts, apologies in advance. So, to start this one off, Days Gone. Days Gone Day has gone. I'm sorry, that was an awful joke, but it was like sitting there on a silver platter. Like, how could you not expect me to take that? Yeah, Days Gone, unfortunately, is getting the cut. It's been put out to pasture. It's gone off to the farm. It's taken an arrow to the knee, to use a well-deserved retired old Skyrim meme. Yeah, essentially, to cut a very long story short, originally I said I was going to be live streaming Days Gone, and I meant that when I said it. That was the plan. That is actually really what I wanted to do. However, at that particular moment I was unemployed, so I had a hell of a lot more time on my hand. Since then, for the last just over 6 weeks, I have now started a new job, and I just don't really have the time to record more than one walkthrough at a time. It's a shame. I hate leaving walkthroughs unfinished. You know that by how much we still reference Fallout New Vegas and The Walking Dead Season 2, and unfortunately Days Gone is now going to be joining the ranks of those games. Had I still had loads of time on my hands, I would be keeping going with Days Gone, but unfortunately I just don't, and it sucks. If it comes down to a choice, and this is essentially what it comes down to, I would much rather play Skyrim, X-Men Legends, Ultimate Alliance 3 when it's released, then Days Gone. If it had my way, I'd rather be playing all of them, but I just don't have the time. As of the last 6 weeks since I've started my job, I haven't actually recorded anything. I haven't done anything to do with YouTube other than upload and write the descriptions for Spider-Man videos. That's literally been it, because I just haven't had the time or the energy to get any more recording done. Yeah. But that's that. It's unfortunate. I hate leaving games unfinished, but it's just the way it is. Some things just need to take priority over others, and unfortunately, Days Gone is getting the cut. However, speaking of games that we're going to be playing, I just mentioned Ultimate Alliance 3. That game actually comes out on July 16th. That's not very far away at all. That snuck up on me. That felt like that was so far away for so long, and now it's just days away. That's really snuck up on me, that one. But my original plan was to play that as soon as possible, hopefully on release day, and do a blind walkthrough and get content up as fast as possible for you guys, because I am so excited to play that game. It's the game I never thought they were actually going to make, and they finally have, and it felt so far away for so long, and now it's finally here. So I'm really excited to play it, as I know probably a whole bunch of you guys are so excited to play it as well. However, as fate would have it, there has been some treatment that I've been waiting for one of my conditions for a very long time, and that condition, that treatment is finally happening, but it's starting just days after Ultimate Alliance 3 is released. That treatment involves me sucking down a whole dose of radiation, which is probably going to be just as much fun as it sounds. Hoping for Hulk powers, you never know, might be able to get my Bruce Banner on. Unlikely, it's probably more likely just going to make me feel like crap. But, yeah, as a result, I have to be in isolation for 2 weeks. That isolation is actually going to be in this room here with all my recording equipment, so you never know. I might be able to still be able to play and record Ultimate Alliance 3, just as planned, just as I wanted to. But I think it goes without saying, obviously you guys will understand if I'm not able to upload any Ultimate Alliance 3 for the first week, first 2 weeks, first 3 weeks. I think you guys can understand I've got a pretty damn good reason why not. As much as I love to keep my schedules going, as much as I love to be able to upload games and share them with you guys, obviously my health comes first, and I need to take care of this. It is very important. I've been waiting for this for years now, so I need to jump on this chance when I can. But with any luck, if I feel okay, if I don't feel too many side effects from quite literally swallowing radiation, then yeah, I'll be playing some Ultimate Alliance 3. But I'll keep you guys updated, and when I'm getting Ultimate Alliance recorded. I'll let you know, so you know it's at least it's on the way. That it'll be coming in the future at some point. But I'll try and keep you guys as updated, either here on YouTube or on Facebook or on Twitter or whatever. But I'll just try and keep you updated of everything that is to come. With that being said, there is one last thing I wanted to talk about before we get into answering your questions, and it's more discussing just the future of this channel in general, and it's kind of in the same vein as what I was just talking about with Ultimate Alliance 3. The norm here on YouTube these days is everything's becoming more of a business. It's becoming more of a brand. It's all about turnover, uploading daily videos, regular schedules. People are getting paid. People are doing this as a job. It's become a brand. It's become a business. It's become a career. It would do you wise to not think of my channel in that way. Think about my channel more like the days of yore, like the days way back when, 2008, 2009, 2010, back when people weren't getting paid for YouTube. People weren't creating a career or a business or a brand out of YouTube. It was just a person uploading videos when they wanted to upload videos. That's the best way to think about my channel going forwards. The reason why I'm saying this, mainly because as I've said several times in this video, and as I've mentioned several times over the years, as I'm getting older, I'm just having less and less time to make videos. I can't commit to schedules. I just can't. We've found that out the hard way, from the amount of times I've had to disappear from YouTube, the amount of times I've had to apologise for no videos. I can't commit to schedules. So when Spider-Man ends, there will be another walkthrough coming. There will be X-Men Legends, Skyrim. I'll eventually get around to recording, and there will be Ultimate Alliance 3. But it doesn't mean it will be happening immediately after Spider-Man finishes. Obviously, I have all of Spider-Man recorded, all 3 pieces of DLC. They're going to continue every other day like normal. But when they finish, there may be no videos for a little while. That doesn't mean I've died. That doesn't mean I've gone. It doesn't mean I've left YouTube. I will still be here. I'll still be behind the scenes, recording videos, creating content. I'll be answering your questions. I'll still be doing Captain's Quarters and stuff like this. Just because there is no gameplay videos, it doesn't mean I've left YouTube. It just means I've got nothing to upload for you guys right now. But rest assured, even if I'm not uploading any content, you can guarantee that I'm still working on some more stuff. My plan going forwards is to upload my walkthroughs more like seasons of TV shows. I think that's the best way you can really think about it. When you watch episode 1 of a TV show, you know you're getting 1 episode a week until that season's done. That's the best way to think of it. When I won't upload the first episode of a walkthrough until I've either finished that walkthrough or until I'm confident that I'm close enough to the end that I can start uploading, and I know I'll finish it before you catch up to that point. That's the best way to think about it. It's the only way I can guarantee that I can still make these videos and it not be a complete and utter burden on my life, and then get to a point where I just stop making videos completely. It's the only way I can do this going forwards, because as my life goes forwards, I'm going to have less and less time, and as my life goes forwards, my health is probably going to get worse and worse. Just a fact. That's just how it is. It's how it is for anyone. As you get older, your life just gets busier and busier and busier. At some point, I'm probably going to have a family of my own, and then I'm going to have no time for YouTube whatsoever. But rest assured, as long as I still want to create videos, I will still be creating videos. But the best way I can see that going forward is just to do walkthroughs in big singular blocks, and then there'll just be gaps in between those walkthroughs. So yeah, I think I've made that as clear as I wanted to. As I said, my brain's not working that great today, so I don't feel like I necessarily got that across. Like it sounds different in my head to what's coming out my mouth, but yeah, essentially what I'm trying to get away from this is, when Spider-Man finishes, if there's a break, if there's no videos for a while, don't panic. I'm not gone again. I'm just working on the next walkthrough, and it will be up as soon as I've got it finished. And I'll just try and stay in constant contact with you guys to let you guys know what's going on. But with that being said, let's actually finally get this video underway. And to kick things off, I want to tell you about a video that I absolutely love. It's a video I actually found years and years and years ago, but I find I keep going back to it and keep watching it just because I feel it is just a perfect reflection of one of my favourite gaming series. And of course that gaming series is the Mass Effect trilogy. Now, the original creator of this video was a guy called, I think it's either Mike Edits or Mick Edits, or I'm not quite sure how you're supposed to pronounce it, but his original video actually got blocked, copyrighted for sound. So it's actually been uploaded either by a second account that he owns or by just a fan of his work. So what I'm going to do is put a link in the description to the video and a link in the description to the actual original content creator's channel. But this video is called We Few, We Happy Few, We Band of Brothers. And much like a trailer promotes something that you might want to go and see, this is almost what I'd call like a reverse trailer. This is a trailer that promotes what you've just seen. Like if you've just finished Mass Effect 3 and you're sitting there after just binging the entire trilogy, this video is the perfect video to watch because it just perfectly encapsulates not only everything that's happened over the trilogy, but how you felt throughout that trilogy, about all the characters you made, all the decisions you've made, everything that's happened in that universe, and the impact that you personally have created on that universe. This video just perfectly encapsulates the whole thing. I find I go back and watch this video regularly, month after month after month. Years ago I found this, and I still find I'm watching it to this day, just because I have never found a Mass Effect video on YouTube that perfectly sums up how you feel when you finish playing the Mass Effect trilogy for the first time. So as I say, a link in the description to the video itself, and there's a link in the description to the original creator of that video. We Few, We Happy Few, We Band of Brothers. It is the perfect Mass Effect montage. But with that being said and done, let's get this thing finally underway with the first question. Will you play Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, and what are your thoughts on it? So yeah, as I said at the start of the video, obviously I'm going to be playing Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 as soon as I'm well enough to actually be able to play it. With regards to what's my thoughts on the game, my thoughts have actually improved. When I first heard there was going to be an Ultimate Alliance 3 and it was on the Switch, I was excited and I was skeptical at the same time. I'm going to be completely honest here. Because it was on the Switch, I was kind of worried it was going to be like a dumbed down and nerfed version of the game, where they take out all of the core mechanics, they take out the nitty gritty of it, and just leave this base game that it kind of feels like a hollow shell of Ultimate Alliance. That was my fear. Having seen more and more and more gameplay, having seen some cutscenes, having seen the actual gameplay itself, some of the customization you can do on some of the characters, and the gameplay and the fusions itself, I'm very hopeful for the game. I'm actually very excited for the game now. I was worried, how, like I say, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, you had the fusion abilities, and you had different, say like if it was on PlayStation, you had the square, the X, the circle, and the triangle attacks you could do. I was worried because it was going to be on a Switch controller that they were going to have to limit it to maybe just 2 attacks or just 3 attacks, because those other buttons would be used for other things. It was a stupid thought to have, because obviously a Switch controller, the Switch Joy-Con or whatever you want to call it, has the same amount of buttons and controls as an Xbox or a PlayStation controller. I don't know why I thought that would be a problem. Switch has, to be completely honest, been blowing me away with the things they've been doing. There's 3 games that I am looking forward to this year: Ultimate Alliance 3, Pokemon Sword and Shield, and even though I'm not going to get it because I already own it on Xbox, I'm really excited to hear the fact that Witcher 3 is going to be available on Switch. 3 games I'm looking forward to, all of them on the Switch. How did that happen? I swear the Switch has come out of nowhere and just blown everyone away. I haven't played it, but Zelda Breath of the Wild, everyone was raving about that game, about how good it was. Now they get Witcher 3 as well, Ultimate Alliance 3. Honestly, I never saw this coming, but the Switch is actually becoming a contender. It's always been about PlayStation, Xbox, but Switch is sneaking up there. I never thought that would happen. I never thought that at all. I've always bought like Game Boys and DSs, but they've just been a fun thing because I like to play Pokemon. That's it. I never once thought Nintendo would get up there as a serious contender alongside PlayStation and Xbox and PC as well. But honestly, every time I'm seeing something for the Switch, they're surprising me every single time. So yeah, my thoughts from Alliance, I'm actually quite hopeful and quite excited to jump into the game. I'm just hoping it's got a rich story, a rich, new and long story like Ultimate Alliance 1. That was the only thing that sort of let me down about Ultimate Alliance 2, that was how short the story was. But yeah, no, I'm excited and I'm hopeful, and I can't wait to play it. If you had to make a Marvel or DC game, what superhero would you use? If it was a Marvel game, I would use Daredevil. I think I mentioned it in my last Captain's Quarters. Daredevil game, I think, would be very much like a Batman or a Spider-Man-esque game. You could have his, like he's, I don't know what they call it, his enhanced senses could be like detective mode. in a certain sense. You could have a mixture of Batman's hand-to-hand combat with Spider-Man's agility, and then it would have a very grounded, very nitty-gritty base game. Not a we're trying to save the world, we're trying to save all of New York, just we're trying to save Hell's Kitchen. Like just that, just him trying to take down a gang of drug dealers or a mob clientele, or hell, even trying to take down the Kingpin. But it's not trying to save all of Gotham, trying to save all of New York. He's trying to save his piece of New York. A very ground-based, street-level game. Yeah, I think that would be amazing. And for a DC game, I'd love to see a Flash game. I feel that's a game that, if done correctly, could be a breath of fresh air, not only into the superhero genre, but into gameplay genre. Sort of like how the original Arkham Asylum game was. It was a game that at the time, I'm not going to say nobody had seen before, because any game you could trace back to another game. Like, a lot of people go, Spider-Man's like Arkham Asylum. I'm sure there are things in Arkham Asylum that people compare to older games as well. But it was just this blend of game that nobody had seen before. It was this combination of things that just blew people out of the water. And if they could come out with some sort of mechanic for a Flash game, incorporating his speed into a type of game that wasn't either overpowered as a character or made no sense. Because if you've got super speed, but then you can only fight thugs in hand-to-hand combat, and they beat you up, it would be really silly. So, like, if someone could actually create a game where you utilize his Flash speed and have this realistic lived-in world, say like Spider-Man's New York City, that would be incredible. I think that could be a really good game if some game studio could come up with a really great story and a really great game mechanic to match Flash's combat. You should set up a Patreon. Well, Jack Rogers, that is technically not a question, that is a statement. However, I'm going to go ahead and answer it anyway, because I do actually have a Patreon account. I've actually had a Patreon account for quite some time now. I have it as a link at the end of all of my Spider-Man videos, in that graphic that I have that comes up at the end of all my Spider-Man videos. It's just below the subscribe button, and in the description to every video I upload, I have a link to my Facebook, my Twitter, and my Patreon account. And obviously, you can follow that link if you want to throw a couple of pennies my way, if you want to help just keep the channel going, you want to help me be able to afford the games I play and I upload for you guys. Obviously, if you can't, no pressure whatsoever. It's the whole reason why I've never really shouted about it, I've never really promoted it that much. It's because I understand if you have no money, I have no money. I don't donate to anyone's Patreon. I would love to if I could, but I just don't have the money. And obviously, if you guys only have a couple of pennies left, a couple of pounds left at the end of the day, spend it on yourself. Don't give it to me. But if you are able to afford to chuck some money my way, of course, I'd absolutely appreciate it. And I'd think the world of you if you could. But obviously, no hard feelings if you can't. However, having said that, I do have one Patreon. And I just want to give a shout out to you, because you've been a Patreon of mine for some time and I've never actually mentioned you in a video, and that is my bad. So, T-Meisterverse, I salute you. Thank you very much for every donation you've sent my way every month. I absolutely appreciate it, and it has not gone unnoticed. So thank you very much. What games are you most interested in for the upcoming E3? As of recording this, E3 has actually come and gone. There was no games I was really following, there's no games I was looking forward to going into E3, but there was one game I was kind of keeping an eye out for, just to see if any new trailers got dropped, and that was Cyberpunk. And from what I hear, Cyberpunk won E3, especially with the reveal of Keanu Reeves, who has just been on a career high at this point. I played Witcher 3, loved Witcher 3. Such a good game. I hadn't played any of the Witcher games before that, so it was a bit of a learning curve, a bit of growing pains, trying to learn the lore and the history of the characters going into the third installment. But by the time I finished that, I absolutely loved Witcher 3. Such a great game. I've still got both the pieces of DLC to play as well. Very much looking forward to start playing them. And I love me some Gwent. Gwent. I couldn't be bothered to play it when I first started playing Witcher 3, but by the end, I won that tournament. I kicked their asses. Love a game of Gwent. But yeah, I love Witcher 3, so obviously I was keeping an eye out for Cyberpunk. I'm hoping if that's with regards to like story and gameplay and just general quality, if that's going to be on the same level as Witcher 3, then I'm very interested in Cyberpunk. The only thing that makes me a little bit hesitant about the game is nothing to do with the game itself. Well, kind of. It's just like that body augmentation, it just gives me the heebie-jeebies. Like I saw, was it Alita Battle Angel? I hated that film. I just didn't enjoy it. I thought it sucked. But seeing a human head on a robotic body, just something about it just really gave me the heebie-jeebies. And watching some gameplay of Cyberpunk when people have got like these metal things coming out of their arms and stuff, it just gives me the willies. I don't know what it is. It just makes me shiver. But I'm still excited about the game. I still feel like I'll pick it up. Everything I've seen from the gameplay and the trailers and stuff like that so far there's nothing that I've disliked other than, you know, getting a little bit creeped out. The actual game itself seems really good. So yeah. Cyberpunk, that's the only thing I've really been keeping an eye on. Would you ever like to see a Black Panther video game? Yeah, I would like any Marvel game, to be honest with you. With the exception of Spider-Man, which is actually produced by Sony and not Marvel itself, Marvel haven't really made any main big single-player story games. Like, obviously, they've got the upcoming Avengers game, and there's some of the Lego franchises, but obviously they're produced by Lego and not Marvel themselves. Other than that, all they've really been doing is creating like the mobile games, like Marvel Strike Force and Contest of Champions, and a whole bunch of other mobile games, which are easier to make and can just rake in the money nice and quickly without too much time and too much effort, not too much money on their behalf either. I'm really hoping this new Avengers game does really well, because if it does really well and it's a really good game, it might inspire Marvel to create more big story-based single-player Marvel games, or even multiplayer Marvel games. I'll be happy with, as long as they are actually main AAA titles, just proper Marvel games. With that, I don't care who the main character is. It could be Black Panther, it could be the Avengers, it could be Spider-Man, obviously that's the Sony one, Daredevil, Luke Cage, Moon Knight, Punisher. I don't care, it could be Squirrel Girl. As long as they are actually putting some time and money into investing into some main Marvel superhero games, that is what I'd love. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care who the main character is. I just want a good game. I just want a good game. What are your thoughts on Daredevil Season 3 or any of the Marvel Netflix seasons? I didn't actually get to finish Daredevil Season 3. I think I mentioned it in one of my other captain's quarters, but I started watching Daredevil Season 3 just before I moved up to Scotland, and I never really got a chance or had a desire to pick up where I left off from. When the Netflix stuff started, I really loved them. Daredevil Season 1, I just absolutely loved. And Daredevil Season 2, to be honest, I loved just as much. I remember a lot of people saying they thought Season 1 was better. I like Season 2 just as much as I like Season 1. I think it's not fair to judge the later seasons on the first seasons, because obviously the first seasons are your first introduction to something. I feel like a lot of people always go like, the first Iron Man film is the best Iron Man film in the whole of the MCU. No, that is just not true. It's because it was the first one you saw, so a lot of people, I feel like they've got nostalgic goggles when they look back on it. But if you were to release Avengers Endgame, or Captain America Winter Soldier, or Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, or Thor Ragnarok, and then release Iron Man, and that's the first time you've seen both of those films, you would not say Iron Man 1 is the best film. A lot of it is nostalgic goggles, and it's because it's the first one, and it kicked off the franchise, and, you know, you've got to love the original, and all that sort of stuff. I feel like Season 1 of a show gets the same sort of treatment. They go, oh, it's the absolute best, it was so good, but if you release them in a different order and the story works for whatever reason, you wouldn't, I don't think they would still say that. It's because that was the first time they were introduced to it, so it blew them away. I think the best example for that right now is Stranger Things. I'm currently watching Season 3 of Stranger Things, so no spoilers for Season 3, please, and I won't say any spoilers for the first 2 seasons if you haven't seen it. But a lot of people go, first season of Stranger Things, oh my god, it was so good. Second season was good, but not as good. No, I think it was as good. But Season 1 was the first time you were introduced to that concept. So it was brand new for you. It blew you out the water. It was something completely new. My camera just flicked up on my screen. I don't know why that did that. Every time something like that happens, I always think it's stopped recording or it's broken or something. Moving on. Speaking of Stranger Things. But I feel like just because it's the first time you're introduced to that concept, people think it had a better story, but that's not always the case. I feel like I've just repeated the same thing over and over again, but I never feel like I can get my point across. But yeah, Daredevil Season 1 and 2 I absolutely loved. I loved Jessica Jones Season 1 as well. Luke Cage, it was a little bit boring, I found, and Iron Fist, I felt like, I don't know what it was. It just felt so hollow and so wooden, and I didn't like a few of the actors in it, and I don't know, just everything felt really weird about that. I feel like all the Netflix seasons kind of went a bit downhill over time. They just lost, I don't know, normally shows build. The stakes get larger and larger and larger, and I don't know, they just build upon the world, they build upon the characters. I felt like with Netflix, it almost went in reverse. Like, yeah, I know Netflix has always been one of these, because they're commissioned for a whole season, unlike a TV show that gets like 1 episode, then 3 episodes. So each episode has to be high impact, keep you wanting to come back for more. Netflix is commissioned for a whole season, so they can do that slow burn, that slow build up to the action. I felt like, as it went on, Netflix abused that a little bit, and it was almost like they spent the whole season building up to a climactic endpoint, and that climactic endpoint never delivered on what they were building up to. Defenders, I think, is the best example of that, and I think Defenders was sort of like the make and break for whether the Netflix deal was going to continue. For example, say like in the MCU, if the Avengers film had been a flop, there wouldn't have been an Avengers 2. A lot of the MCU films to follow, not to say it would have killed the franchise, but if the main Avengers film wasn't as successful as it was, the MCU probably would have died out. I feel like the Defenders was the Netflix Avengers, and I found it just so lackluster, and as a result, I feel like that's what eventually ended the Netflix Marvel deal, relationship, whatever you'll call it. It's just, they spent, I can't remember now, was it the first 4 or 5 episodes of an 8-episode series just forming the Defenders? Like, if that was me writing that, by the second episode, the end of the second episode, they would have all come together as the Defenders. You did not need 4 45 to 50 minute episodes to get 4 characters together. 4 characters that had already got one central character, Claire Temple, connecting all 4 of them. You didn't need 4 to 5 episodes to get them even in a room together. They weren't even working together at that point. They just got them in the same room. It was just such a waste. And at first I thought to myself, okay, this is a slow build, but hey, at least there's 12 to 15 episodes. No, there was only 8. It was only an 8-episode run. So they wasted over half a season just bringing the title of the show together. It was just, they spent too much time on the build and not enough time on the delivery. So when it did get to the big climactic conclusion, it didn't feel like the climactic conclusion. It felt like it should have been the end of the first act, you know? It just, I don't know. It started off so well. Maybe they were a victim of their own hype. Like, maybe they had too much to live up to. Because the acting, especially Charlie Cox in Daredevil and Kristen Ritter and everyone else, superb acting through all of them. It wasn't, I'm not trying to say like the people in the show did anything wrong. It's just the show overall just, I don't know. They just, I don't know. They just lost their spark as it went. It just became quite dull. But yeah, that's that. It's a shame. It's a real shame because I love Charlie Cox as Daredevil. I thought he was such a good Daredevil, but hey, it is what it is. It just is what it is. Hopefully, maybe in many years later, it will be like a blessing in disguise, and we will get like a maybe a Daredevil on the streaming service, or a Daredevil movie, or a Defenders movie. Who knows? Who knows? We can only hope. Did you see the Avengers game trailer at E3, and what are your thoughts? So yeah, as I said before, when I was talking about like the Marvel video games, I saw the trailer. It's cool to actually finally see some gameplay, because I swear it was like 2 years ago they first teased that they were making an Avengers game. So it's finally good to actually see some actual content from the game. We didn't see much in the way of gameplay, so I'm still going to hold my judgment until I actually get to see some proper gameplay. I know there are those who have seen gameplay in like the press tents and stuff like that, and they've said they're quite optimistic, they're quite excited for what they saw. But obviously I haven't seen it myself, so I'm going to withhold judgment until I've seen that gameplay myself. But from what I saw from the cinematics and from the story and from what they're building up, from what they allowed us to see, yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm liking what I'm seeing, and I just want to see more. And I'm excited for when the game comes out. I'm just hoping they're focused more on story than they have on... It's going to sound stupid, but gameplay. Obviously the gameplay needs to be good, but when they said like you can play on your own or you can play with friends, I hope they're focused on building a great rich story, as opposed to, hey look, you can play with your friends, woo, you know, because that only goes so far. game like Spider-Man has been classed as such a great game because the story was so goddamn good, along with great gameplay on top of it. They didn't muddy the water by trying to do too much. It's a great story, and you can play on your own, and you can play on friends, and you can play online, and like focus on one thing. And I hope they've got that story and gameplay down, and then everything else is an add-on. It's a secondary thing that you can do, but the main focus is the story and the gameplay. That's what I'm hoping. But yeah, as I said before, I'm just hoping it's good, because if it's good, this might be the catalyst for Marvel to start creating more games, which is really what I want. I would love to see some more Marvel games. And as we said before, if they could expand that into like a Marvel universe, like as I think Insomniac might do with Spider-Man, creating a Spider-Man universe within their game. If then Marvel might be able to do that and expand their Avengers into like almost like an MCU, but a GCU, MGU, yeah, Marvel Game Universe, yeah. So you got the MCU and then you have the MGU. That I would love. That would just be a dream come true as far as I'm concerned. Will you be playing any RPGs? Well, we've still got Skyrim. We've still got Skyrim, which I still haven't got around to recording. I've recorded a mod list for Skyrim, because I've introduced mods into my Skyrim playthrough when I actually get around to recording it. So I've recorded my mod list, and I'll upload that once I actually get around to recording Skyrim. But there are a load of RPGs I'd love to play. As I said earlier, I've played Witcher 3, absolutely loved that game. I would love to play do like a Fallout 4 walkthrough. Love Fallout 4 as well. I've always wanted to get into the Dragon Age series as well. Obviously, there's 3 of those, and I've never even touched them, barely ever seen any gameplay. So I'd love to jump into them. There's so many RPGs I'd love to play. I love big, long, in-depth story games like that. I absolutely love them. But I think, bear in mind I've just cut off Days Gone, I think it would be a smart idea to make sure I finish Skyrim before I even think about playing another RPG. So as of right now, no. Just Skyrim. Just keeping that going, just getting that finished. You might be able to class X-Men Legends as an RPG, or maybe Ultimate Alliance 3 as an RPG, but they're not really. They're just long games. So no, I'm just going to keep Skyrim going. And then once we're finished with that, in the many, many, many years, then maybe we'll see. It's probably going to be like an 80-year-old Dave live streaming his hologram version of whatever YouTube will be when I'm 80, and I'll be like, I've nearly finished playing Skyrim. That's how I imagine I'll sound when I'm 80. But yeah, went off on one there. Yeah, so just finishing Skyrim before I even think about doing anything else. Will Segway City be returning? As of right now, we have no plans to record any Segway City. I'm far too busy, and Tommy has got a lot going for him over at the Insider Network right now. However, if you do miss myself and Tommy discussing movies and games and comic books and all of that sort of good stuff, I'll definitely go over and subscribe to the Insider Network. Links in the description, and there'll be a card somewhere on the screen right about now. And if you go over and subscribe to them right now, one of their latest videos was Tommy, James, and myself discussing, reviewing Spider-Man Far From Home, and just giving our thoughts on just the film and the franchise in general. And you'll be surprised to know that me and Tommy actually agreed a lot. We never did that on Segway City, but times are changing, and we agreed a lot on this film. Other than that, we've also did our thoughts in a separate video for the MCU Phase 4. It was a very long video in which we all gave our plans and our thoughts on what we would do if we were driving forwards the MCU. That is also over on the Insider Network. So yeah, link in the description. There'll be a card on the screen. Go over there, subscribe to the Insider Network. They make plenty of other videos. They do in-depth dives on to celebrities. I think one of the latest ones that I found was absolutely hilarious was they gave an in-depth dive onto Henry Cavill's mustache and why it was digitally removed from Justice League. They've done in-depth dives onto Robert Downey Jr. There are top 10 lists. There's in reviews, discussions, a whole bunch of stuff going over there. Definitely suggest, if you miss Segway City and you miss our podcast, go over and subscribe to the Insider Network. So many good videos, and I'm constantly a guest over there. Do you think they'll do a Marvel game universe after the success of Spider-Man PS4? So yeah, as I said before, assuming with the success of Spider-Man there is going to be a sequel, and assuming that sequel is a success, I definitely feel like they're going to try to build a Spider-Man universe, a Spider-Man game universe. And I feel like it's the same, in the same vein with this Avengers game that's coming up. If this Avengers game is successful, I feel like they'll try and make another Avengers game, and then branch out and make other games that are interconnected. That's the hope, that's the dream. I don't think Spider-Man and Avengers will be connected. I don't think that's the case, because even though they have this deal going with the movies, with Tom Holland being allowed in the MCU and vice versa, I don't feel like they're going to do that with the games. Sony, I think, have hit the ground running with Insomniac in this Spider-Man game, and they're very much going to want to keep that pie all to themselves. And if Marvel can do the same with this Avengers game, they will. If we could get a Spider-Man universe and an Avengers universe going on in the gaming realm, that would be brilliant. That would just be so well done. I would welcome that with open arms. But yeah, any success to do with Marvel Comics or even DC Comics gaming, I'm all for. But with that being said, that is all the main bulk of the questions are done and dusted. And it's time to get into the quick fire round, to get into those questions that don't require long, in-depth answers. Let's do this. Would you be interested in playing an online game where we could all hang out? As I said at the start, I would love to be able to play games like that, but I just don't have the time, unfortunately. Do you have any more tattoos besides Spider-Man? Nope. Do you think they will ever make a Captain Britain movie? Yeah, I think they will. I don't really know a huge amount about Captain Britain, but I just feel like they're going to go that route at some point. Do you think we're going to see Green Goblin in the MCU or the Spider-Man PS4 universe? In the Spider-Man PS4 universe, yes, 100%. In the MCU, I'd say it's about 50-50, and if we do, it won't be for quite a while yet. Are you ever going to do a walkthrough of GTA 4? Probably not. It's very unlikely they'll ever do a walkthrough of any of the GTA games. However, nice shout out to the GTA Survival Challenge. That is a blast from the past. If you were a wrestler, what would your wrestling name be? My wrestler name would be Wookie Monster. I'd grow a long beard, long hair, and I'd walk down to the ring going, I don't know why I did that. Will you ever consider playing the Arkham series again? Yeah, never say never. Definitely won't be anytime soon. Yeah, definitely won't be for a couple of years at least. But if they release a new one in the near future, or if just enough time passes, I fancy playing all the way through from Arkham Asylum again. Yeah, who knows? They're great games. But with that being said, that is all the questions I had time for to answer in this Captain's Quarters. If you had a question that you asked and I didn't get around to answering it, or if you've got any new questions that you want to ask me, leave them in the comment section below and I might get around to answering them in the next Captain's Quarters. But with that being said, if you like this video, please leave a like. It really helps the channel to grow. If you're new here, maybe consider subscribing, and always press that notification bell to be notified of all future videos going forwards. And hell, as it was mentioned in this video, go ahead and follow the link to my Patreon, and if it so tickles your fancy, then maybe donate to my Patreon as well, and I'll love you even more. Failing that, I hope you all have a lovely day, be nice to people, and I'll catch you guys later.